you can only apply and get national health insurance in Taiwan if you have your ARC, your alien resident visas. Corona is 180, where other bars, Corona can be cheaper. It can be 100 NT a bottle, £2.50. Taipei to Taichung, 2 hours, it will cost you 240 NT. Fries, 180 NT. Chicken strips, 220 NT. So you can see it's a bit more price friendly compared to a wine bar. Be anything from 1,000 NT for quite a fast train, or you can get one for 480 NT. You can get the bus to a different city, and it might only cost you 150 NT. For this next section, cost of living, you need to take pen and paper because you're going to need to make some notes. I will be talking through the different areas of cost of living. I will start off with your normal household costs and travel costs, so general living costs, and then I'll go on to more social costs, depending if you are wanting to go out, bars and restaurants, or you just want to live like a pretty normal life like I try to now. Obviously, cost of living will differ throughout each person. Some people want to live like a foreigner, and perhaps you want to go to a country in Asia, or let's just say Taiwan because we're being specific, and you still want to have your foreigner delights and maybe expectations, whether it be a restaurant or drink or shopping habits or even living habits. However, like in most and almost all countries around the world, that will come at an extra price. Or you can go totally native, as they call it, embrace the culture and try to live as much as a local Taiwanese as possible. But not everybody can do that, and maybe it's not ideal for many people and their families if you're bringing family over with you. Or maybe just a hybrid, just a mixture of both, which is what I try and do. So let's start with renting. Renting, as you saw, we've already gone through some housing and contracts in the previous section, but I will just touch on this again now as we start to go through the household bills and costs, which you may actually have to pay out. So, like I said, depending on your needs for living, whether you need something similar to what you're used to back in your home country, or whether you're happy to kind of just, I wouldn't say water it down, but live a little bit more local on a lower scale, and how much space you need, how many people you are going to be coming to Taiwan with, this will all change in the price. But renting can be anything from 15,000 NT a month for a place on your own in an older building, maybe without an elevator, all the way up to 100,000 NT a month, which is probably going to be in a newer building, in a nicer location, close to the MRT, maybe with 2 or 3 bedrooms. Okay. Now, I've just given you 2 scales there, and you can certainly meet in the middle depending on how much of each scale you need to implement for you. With that, I put a link below with my personal household bills. I explain my gas bill, my electric bill, my water bill, and any maintenance bills and extra bills like the Wi-Fi and internet, which I pay out. Now, that is just for me, but I also talk about the examples when I've stayed in bigger apartments as well. So I will just generalize on each and just give you a little bit more information, just to give you an idea. Because look, when you go on websites and you try and search online, it gives you a range, but it always ends up, it doesn't matter what country you visit or live in, it always ends up being different when you're actually living in the country. It's different when you visit a country, but when you start to live in a country and you learn a little bit more, I should say, tricks of the trade, or you get used to your local environment, you can cut back on costs. So let's go through the bills. your water bill is next to nothing. You can pay anything from 200 NT to 400 NT a month. Then electricity bill can range depending on the time of a year. So in the winter times, not many people need heaters unless you're in an older building, which lets through the cold air. But some people like myself, sometimes I turn on a portable heater sometimes. So that can take up the price slightly. Or during the summer, you need the air conditioning on. So it will vary depending on if you work from home, if you spend a lot of time at home, how much air conditioning you use. Your electricity can be anything from 400 NT a month to 1000 NT a month for a single person, or a bigger house or more people living in there, up to 3000 NT a month. Now, as you will see on the resource video, all the bills, the electric bill is paid every 2 months, but most of the other bills are paid monthly. So that's for the electric bill, okay? So for example, now I pay, in the winter time, I pay around 400 NT a month. In the summertime, I pay about 1200 NT a month. And I use quite a lot of air conditioning. I have the TV on a lot. I have laptops on a lot. I boil water in a kettle. And also when I'm cooking, it's an electric cooker. So I do use a lot of electricity. Now, onto the gas, you're looking again at 200 to 400 NT a month. So that's the gas, the water, and electricity covered. And then whatever maintenance fee you may have to pay monthly. Now, if you're in a newer building with a reception area, a garbage room where you can go and take your trash, and community or communal areas, you could pay a maintenance fee anything from 500 NT a month up to 2500 NT a month. Okay, for me, I pay 1400 NT a month, but I have a big reception area. I've got a trash area. I've also got a gymnasium and swimming pool. So that pays for the electricity for the public areas as well. But generally, all of the prices, all of the bills are very cheap compared to back home. If you live in a, I would say, a first world country, but I say a first world country, the UK is going the other way now, but UK, USA, Canada, most of Europe, etc. Okay, compared to these countries, so cheap and affordable here. You can save a lot of money from here to go towards your lifestyle. Now, the next thing is your kind of groceries or shopping and household objects. Now, it's going to be more expensive to eat out. Depending on your choice, it can be cheap to eat out. However, the cheapest thing for you, if you're on a budget or you want to get a mixture of both eating out and cooking at home, the cheapest is cooking at home. I've also put below a video with my supermarket prices. So you will see what everything costs, from chicken, from steak to fruit to vegetables to pasta, objects like this, okay? And that you can buy some cheaper objects at the groceries, or I should say the actual fruit market or vegetable market outside, or you can buy cheaper things when you go to, I call it a supermarket, but like a grocery shop. So I've got a supermarket near me. I get my meats, I get my vegetables, and I can spend not as much as you would think, but I'm on my own. Sometimes I have my son stay with me. I would say 10,000 NT a month comfortably. And that would be, me being okay and not left short for anything. So 10,000 NT a month, £250 just for me, sometimes my son, is not bad at all. And I eat well. I have my breakfast, I have some lunch, I have a good dinner. But also that isn't including some days I may eat out because it's so affordable to eat out and convenient. But just to give an example why I can do it so cheap for myself, I may go to a shop and buy a bag of 56 frozen dumplings. So then for lunch, I can have 10 dumplings and rice, which costs 50p, so 20 NT. So the big bag of 56 dumplings costs 59 NT. So let's just say 60 NT. One rice costs 20 NT. So divide the bag of, let's say, 60 dumplings by 6 gives me 10 dumplings. So that's 6 days. I've got 10 dumplings. So let's just round it off to 10 NT. Each day I might have rice with the 10 dumplings. Okay, now this isn't going to fill everyone up, but I exercise. I don't eat too much at lunch. I eat more in the evening or at dinner time. So for lunch per day, I'm just spending rice 20 NT and 10 NT on 10 dumplings, 30 NT, less than £1. For breakfast, I have 2 slices of toast, a coffee, an egg. You can buy 10 eggs for 56 NT, around £1.50. So you divide that up through your week, and already your breakfast and lunch can be very cheap. Now, look, you may not want to maintain this every day of your living life, but you know, I do mostly. And then dinner time, if I cook for myself, I'll have vegetable and meat and some kind of pasta, maybe rice again. I eat a lot of rice. We live in Asia. A lot of people say pasta and rice is bad for you, but to me, I'm fine with it. A lot of people here are fine with it, and Asians are very fine with it. And I'll do that, and that's basically, yeah, my day if I'm cooking at home with some fruit in between and a lot of water. Now, the water you do have to boil here. You can't drink out of a tap, or you can buy it from bottles from the shop. Now, the other option is to go and buy on the whole, en masse. There's Costco's where people go to Costco's, and you can even get the price cheaper if you're buying, you know, a big load of pasta, and that'll last you for the month. Okay, so there are ways to make these food prices cheaper. Hey, thanks for watching so far. Just a very quick break. I want to tell you something. If you're thinking about making a move to Taiwan, or you've already come to the country and you're already here, you're looking for an apartment, you don't know how to rent an apartment, you don't know how to find a job, you don't know how to read contracts, you don't know where to look, how to call the agents, landlords, all the details you need for starting a new life in Taiwan, you need to visit my website, helpfulmatt.com or mattwardconsulting.com. That's Matt. There's no hidden costs, all the costs are in there, and it's a massively affordable service which is being used by foreigners alike who are moving into the country and already here in the country now. Don't get left behind, don't get lost at the airport and stuck with nowhere to go. Give me a shout, give me a call. You can email me at matt@mattwardconsulting.com. Okay, back to the video. Now, if you do want your foreign brands or more expensive brands, it's going to cost you more. However, look, my needs are covered. I'm happy just going mid-market, mid-scale, and this is why I keep my costs down. But I would say, look, anything from, you know, a single person, if you're like me, 10,000 NT a month, but it could rise up to 20,000 or 25,000. If you've got a family, maybe it's going to cost you more. Okay, 20,000 NT a month, and it starts getting more expensive. But watch the resources and the videos below, and it will give you just an idea of how much, you know, a pack of chicken will cost, for example. Moving on to transportation now. Now, I can drive, but I haven't had a car, or I haven't really needed to drive for, you know, 10 years now, and I don't miss it. So ideal for me is the convenience and the price. It's very cheap for public transport. So here in general, if you do want a car or a scooter, you know, you can buy second-hand cars, second-hand scooters. Prices are very reasonable. You can pick up a second-hand scooter, anything from £400. So let's say 8, 9, 10, 20,000 NT. all the way up to, 100,000 NT. Same with the car. The petrol, the gasoline is much cheaper, almost half the price, maybe more, cheaper than the UK. I can't speak for the USA or different countries, but for the UK. So it is affordable. The big problem with having a car or scooter, if you're living in a more populated city, let's say Taipei, for example, it's difficult to find parking spaces. You may have to pay extra in a new building where you live to have a parking space. But when you're going out, it's very difficult to find a space to park, and the traffic in rush hour, like any other cities, can be very time consuming and stressful, which is why I like the ease of using public transport. So on that point, public transport is great. You can get an easy card, and again, look, previously on the previous module that you went through about transport from the airport, I put in the resource videos the MRT, the metro video, which I showed you what the easy card is all about. But the easy card, you can pay 200 NT for your card, and you just top it up as you use it. So your MRT, your metro travel, can be anything from 20 NT, which is the lowest, to, if you're going further distances using the metro, to 55 NT. I believe the most expensive from location to location is 55 NT, maybe 60 NT, which is £1.50 or 50p. And also, like I said, you can get a Mega City Pass, which gives you monthly access for 1,200 NT. You top up your Easy card for 1,200 NT. You have unlimited use of the metro, the MRT, unlimited use on the buses around Taipei and New Taipei City, even Keelung. Keelung is the city just outside of New Taipei City, and some other areas. Also, for the airport, you can use the airport line as much as you want, and you can use unlimited U-bike up to 30 minutes each time for free. Not for free, you pay the 1,200 NT a month, but that's all included. So if you will be doing a lot of traveling in and around the city like me, it is very, very well worth the money and so affordable to get a Mega City Pass. I'm not sure if you can then get it for each city, but the bigger cities do tend to have some kind of access where you pay more for a monthly pass and it works out cheaper. But for the bus, just like paying for single tokens for the metro, for the bus, it's very cheap. You can be paying anything from 20 NT again to 60 NT, depending on how far you travel. For the U-bikes, if you don't have the Mega City Pass or unlimited usage, you can pay as little as 5 NT for a cycle up to 40 NT. If you go on a very big cycle, it might be, 80 NT. So if you take your bike out all day and then you bring it back, it can cost a lot more. Whereas you get the free pass, the monthly pass, and you can have free use 30 minutes at a time. And then you just get charged a little bit extra if you have extra usage. The train tickets, if you're going to different cities, the high-speed rail and train tickets, very, very good. For example, if you're traveling to, obviously, if you're going to a closer city like Taichung, it can be anything from 1,000 NT for quite a fast train, or you can get one for 480 NT. You can get the bus to a different city, and it might only cost you 150 NT. It depends how much time you have, if you want it to go direct, if you want to use the normal train or high-speed rail. If you're going all the way down south to Kaohsiung, it can start to get a little bit more expensive. However, compared to, for example, UK rail prices, it's so affordable here. Okay, if you get a high-speed rail ticket to Kaohsiung, you can see as an example, Taipei to Kaohsiung, it takes around 4 hours for normal train, which is 843 NT. If you want to cut down the travel time to 2 hours on high-speed rail, it will cost you 1,490. Okay, so almost double for cutting the time down by 50%. Let's say Taipei to Taichung, 2 hours, it will cost you 240 NT. So affordable. High-speed rail, 1 hour, it will cost you 700 NT. Again, so affordable. So this just shows you, how affordable it is. And now I've just put in a random location, Chiayi. So Chiayi, look, high-speed rail, 1 hour, 43 minutes. It will cost 1,000 NT. So that's what I mean when I say it's so affordable to travel around. That's why if you are living outside of Taipei, but you want to go to Taipei for some weekend trips or some partying or meeting friends or vice versa from Taipei to other locations to the beaches in Kaohsiung, that is how much you're going to pay. So affordable to travel around the country on your own with family. And that's one of the main benefits from living here as well. Like I said, lifestyle can be expensive. However, you can make it cheaper to then compensate for the expenses you have in different. Moving on to the socializing part. So going out for a drink or eating out. Now, this is where it really can be acceptable to crazy prices. So you do have a mixture of, look, the street stalls, just like most Asian countries. You can go and get food from a shop, for example. Across from me, there's a dumpling shop, which you could spend 40, 80, 120 NT and get a load of dumplings and noodles, or you can get spicy chicken and rice and vegetables for 120 NT. Or you can go to a restaurant. Oh, sorry, I forgot the Taiwan buffet. I'll put the Taiwan buffet video in the link as well. Or you can go to a middle-class restaurant and pay 2 or 3 times as much, maybe 4 times as much. It's crazy. So I'll try and put this in some kind of order. Eating out locally as a local Taiwanese on the street or street side, some kind of cafe or shops, very, very affordable. It can be anything from 60 NT for an object to 150 NT. You can, like I said, I can have a very good meal for 140 NT. I can have a load of meat, rice, and vegetable. What else do you need? 140 NT. If you go to a restaurant, as I'm going to show you some examples, you can't get much for them prices. And then it seems like now, like everywhere, Taipei is trying to outprice a lot of people, and there's only people with large disposable income which can really enjoy or use their money. But look, some people want to spend, let's say, £400 a month on socializing. Some people think that's a waste of money and would rather spend it on food, on going on vacation or different places. Some people can spend that money, let's say 3 or 4 times a week. It totally differs depending on what job you're doing here and how much money you have and what you want. So I'm going to go through some examples now. And remember, like I said, all of the links for some cheaper examples are down below. Yeah, a couple of restaurants. My favorite restaurant I've added down below is the link to all you can eat places. So there's many places where you can just pay, let's say, 1,000 NT. You can eat and drink as much as you want for 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. And there's no end of hot pot places, hot pot restaurants, barbecue restaurants, teppanyaki restaurants, which allow you to do that. Pizza Hut restaurants, all you can eat is great value for me. Now, if you want to go to somewhere with more foreigners, there's so many of these places, or, Taiwanese will have a little bit of extra disposable income. This is, look, the Three Lions Inn, Three Lions Pub, very popular with some foreigners and, let's say, kind of get on to middle class Taiwanese as well. Now it's a lot more expensive than it used to, but obviously, look, people need to make money. And now it seems like it's popular, since all these draft lagers have come in and IPA and everything, it's fashionable to pay £4 or £5 for a small bottle of beer, which for me, and on that point, you can go to 7-Eleven or Family Mart and you can get a big bottle of Taiwan lager for 60 NT, £1.50. But, do you want to sit in 7-Eleven drinking a beer? Maybe not. Maybe you do. Sometimes it's nice to take a bottle or a drink outside by the river or at the park. You are allowed to drink in public, but obviously you just have to act as well as you can and not get arrested. And so look, here's a 3 lines in. I just want to show you an example. They do food as well, but I believe they've got a drink menu here. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, it looks like these are their ales and ciders. So again, all the IPA, all the hoppy brands, fashionable brands. For 500 milliliter bottle, it's around 230 NT, okay, which is like getting on for £6. For me, I prefer not to pay that price, but to many people, it's not expensive. Here you got bottled beers, so a bottle of Corona is 180, where other bars, Corona can be cheaper. It can be 100 NT a bottle, £2.50. They have Duval at 240 NT. They have some other bottles at 270 NT. Okay, so Taiwan beer gold label 160 NT, which is £4. Look, if you like the environment, it's a nice environment, a nice setting. Okay, if you've got disposable income, you might be happy paying these prices. Here's another look at some draft beers. You can get a pint, so a 500 milliliter of Carlsberg for 200 NT, which is around £5. You can get a Kronenberg 500 milliliter for 245 NT. You can get a Guinness, which is a pint of Guinness. Guinness is expensive. You can buy a can from 7-Eleven for around 85 NT. Or normally, if you have a 500 milliliter glass, a pint of Guinness, it tends to be around anything from 250 NT to 295 or even 330 NT a glass, a pint, which is quite a lot. Now, if you go into the more fashionable and trendy areas around Da'an district or Xinyi district, there are many bars like this. It's just an example, like bar after 9, there's barcode. You can reserve tables in some places where you might have to pay anything from 5,000 NT a table to 15,000 or 20,000 a table. And I just want to show you, look, the kind of cocktail bar and restaurant vibe here and some of the prices. So just looking at the food menu now, we're looking at duck breast, full duck breast for 599 NT, prime strip steak 799 NT, red wine braised beef cheek 599 NT. Okay, so look, it's not overly priced, too expensive. But then if you want something on a lower scale, you can go to My Home Steak restaurant and you can pay 320 NT and have a huge steak and an unlimited buffet with fries, chicken and ice cream and desserts. But some people don't want to go to a cheaper buffet, steak buffet, and they might be happy going to one of these places, which is why I'm just giving you an example. So here you can literally just, get an idea of how much you would be needing to spend to socialize depending on your style and your taste. And I will put the video links to the videos for the cheaper places as well in below in the section so you can compare. Soup 249 NT. Look, I don't really want to be paying £7 for a soup, but some people do. Buffalo wings 249 NT. pasta, spaghetti carbonara for 299 NT. Okay, so that just gives you a bit of an idea there. Now, there's a lot of like kind of foreign-friendly places like the Brass Monkey and Carnegie's, and these are kind of like bars and pubs which attract foreigners, so then also attract Taiwanese, because sometimes some Taiwanese want to be around foreigners. So here's just an example. French fries, 180 NT. Chicken strips, 220 NT. So you can see it's a bit more price friendly compared to a wine bar. Then you can get chili and chips, 260 NT. Chicken wings, 20 pieces for 600 NT. Burgers, 360 NT. Okay, so look, for people with disposable cash, it's not really expensive at all. Hot and chips, fish and chips, 480 NT. Pasta, spaghetti carbonara, 340 NT. Okay, so you are paying a little bit more here. I'll see if it's got a drink, a pizza. Most pizzas 420 NT. Okay, which is anything from 320 to 420 or more is standard, pretty much. Now, a lot of places where you do eat do put on a 10% surcharge as well. And the drinks here at places like Brass Monkey can range from being similar to the Three Lions, which we looked at as well. Anything from 120 NT. You might get some happy hour deals. You might get Corona deals for 100 NT. All the way up to a Guinness or wine, which could be 300 NT for a glass, or a pint of Guinness for 320 NT or more, depending on what cocktails you are eating, what cocktails or wines you're ordering. You can get bottles of wine, a nice bottle of wine from the supermarket. You can get one for around 500 NT, 400 NT, and then it ranges up to 1,000 NT onwards. Bottles of gin and whatnot. Look, you can get cheaper versions, which is going to be anything from 250 NT to a Beefeater, some kind of London gin, which might be 400 NT or 399 NT. So everything it can differ depending on your taste, depending on what environment you want, and basically the nicer the location, if you've got a window view of Taipei 101, likelihood is if you're in a bar or restaurant, it will be more expensive. If you're on the outskirts, but you can still see Taipei 101, but it's some kind of Taiwanese hot pot place, it's going to be cheaper. I will go to one of my local favorite Taiwanese places, like a bottle bar, and you sit down. I can get 3 or 4 big dishes and have 2 or 3 big bottles of beer, and it costs me around 1,200 NT. I'm very full, and you can start to feel a bit tipsy as well. It's entirely on your budget, on your needs, on your expectations. If you're going to go to more foreign-friendly bars, they know or they perceive that some foreigners and some Taiwanese who want to be around foreigners have more disposable income, or maybe not disposable income, just more cash to spend on socializing. And then this is, the prices they will offer. It can get a little bit stupid, or, I like to look at, is it value for money for you? And look, if something you feel is value for money, it's not expensive. If you don't think it's value for money for you, it's too expensive for you. And finally, just giving a kind of figure which I would be able to spend and which a family may need, trying to break everything down. It's so difficult to put specifics on. I'm doing my best just to give you a few examples. Now, this is including, you might want to go to the zoo. The zoo costs 80 NT a ticket. It's really cheap. If you want to go swimming, you go swimming and that might cost 40 NT or 100 NT per entry. You go to the cinema, a cinema ticket might cost you 280 NT or 250 NT. it might cost you 180 NT. Very affordable. You go to certain theme parks, okay? Again, you may pay for entry. For a theme park, it may be 250 NT, it may be 300 NT. It may be free. A lot of things like museums and art galleries, everything tend to be quite reasonable and affordable. Okay, so on that note, and just finishing off, kind of, rounding everything up now. And down below, I've also got my gym membership as well, which goes through all your gym needs, your membership needs for exercise and whatnot. But I could now, if I wasn't paying extra money for my son, I'm separated, so I do pay extra money for my son. But I can live a comfortable life on 80,000 NT. That's paying towards my son as well. So that's kind of £2,000 a month. That's not doing anything too crazy. But I'm comfortable. I eat when I want to eat. I have a glass of wine or a beer when I feel like I need to. I have digital TV or box, a digibox. I have a gym membership. I go on trips away. I go on vacations, and that's for me. I don't go out drinking all the time. I don't do much partying or socializing anymore. So that is, lower cost of living, but that's including everything. Some people, if I was single, knowing what I know now, I could live off less. I could have a nice life at 60,000 NT a month. If I needed to, I could get by on 40,000 NT a month, but you won't be going to nicer restaurants, or you won't be going out clubbing or to the bars, or eating too much, but it could be done on 40,000 NT. But I would put it, for me, paying for my son 80,000 NT is okay. So look, you could then, for a family, double that to 160,000 NT. But again, if you've got a bigger house than I have, or in a nicer area, your costs are going to go up. I'm just giving you a little example of a normal person who doesn't go out too much, but still enjoys a drink, food, restaurants, hotel stays. And yeah, 80,000 NT is good. If I spend more, no problem. If I spend less, also no problem. Now, the healthcare, I will go on to the healthcare and insurance in the next section, but that's normally around 800 NT. Now, depending on if you're working for a company, they might pay towards it, or you might pay through them. But if I pay individually on my own, I pay 800 NT a month. Now we've arrived to Taiwan, we're looking at the essentials that you need on arrival, or things that you need to hand or need to know as soon as you get here, so you're not panicking and thinking, oh no, I haven't got that. How do I get it, and where do I get it from? So first things first, currency, NT dollar. If you haven't already ordered some new Taiwanese dollar from your home country, don't worry, because you can get it when you are in country. Now, I won't go into rates because these are going to differ depending on your bank back home, or depending on the institution you go to here in Taiwan. Notoriously, rates are more expensive at the airport, so try and avoid changing money at the airport. However, if you do get a better rate with your bank card or credit card, you can use cash machines. Okay, so with the cash machines, you will get charged. Now, depending which bank you are with, for example, I'm with a bank in the UK. If I try and withdraw money from the cash machine, I can do it, but it will give me the choice to let them process all of the currency conversions, which is not a good idea because they will put additional charges on for the currency conversion. So just allow the conversion to be done naturally and just get charged the regular fee, as opposed to two types of charges. the charge for the original conversion of just drawing out money from abroad, and then an additional charge for the bank to be the administrators of the conversion, which you don't want to do. So just on that topic, do your own research in terms of what your bank will charge if you take money out the cash machine. Okay. So normally, look, I'm going to say that in Great British pounds, if I withdraw, for example, £100, it may charge me around 5 to 6%. Okay. So look, we're looking about £6 per every £100. However, I have money now in Taiwan, so I don't have to kind of worry about that. But once you get your bank set up, your bank account, which I'll go to into a later section, there are easier ways to transfer money into the country. So getting money from a cash point, you can do using your bank card. That will stop you having to take on higher rates at the airport, unless the rates are actually better. If you get into Taipei, you can go to a bank. So Bank of Taiwan are one of the banks which you can go into. Just take your passport with you or some kind of identification. Normally a passport is okay. You can give them, let's say, $100 with your passport, and they will change it to Taiwanese dollars. Also, if you go away and you bring back, I don't know, Philippine peso or Chinese RMB, you can also go to some banks which offer this service. Not all banks offer this service of currency exchange, but normally if you ask somebody there, or they normally have a sign who will do this. Another option, look, if it's just a small amount you need to get started, you can ask on Facebook groups. And leading on to that, one of the main things you need to get involved with, if you haven't done before coming into the country already, is to get involved with informational Facebook groups. I'll put a link for the Taiwan foreigner Facebook group at the bottom of this section. Okay, so all the information in regards to Taipei, Taiwan, and different cities, you can find and converse with like-minded people in similar situations who can share their experiences as well. There are so many groups, but I'll just give you the main ones which I use. So that's for currency. Make sure you have some on hand, especially if you need to buy the MRT Easy card for your travel, or you need money for the taxi. You don't want to be stopping a taxi to then having to go to the cash machine, or maybe there's some problems. And on that point, remember to tell your bank that you will be abroad. So if it's anything like my bank, if I haven't told them and I try and take money out, and they may put a block on it because all of a sudden you was in New York and now you're in Taipei trying to withdraw cash. So it is, to save a lot of hassle, it is a good idea just to tell them beforehand that you will be in Taiwan or whichever region you're going to be in. The next thing is a phone SIM card. Now, the SIM card you can get straight away at the airport, or you can get once you're in the city. Now, there's various companies and locations you can go to. You can't set up a contract until you have some kind of ARC or proof of employment or residency address. Okay, so it might be ideal just to get a monthly pay-as-you-go SIM card, which is what I still do after over 11 years. I basically pay 300 NT a month, so around £7. And this isn't for calls, this is just for Wi-Fi data, and it gives me around 4 to 5 gigabyte. Okay, and that's all I need because I've got Wi-Fi at home. There's a lot of Wi-Fi hotspots around the city of Taipei. And if I'm calling anyone, I do that on the apps, WhatsApp or Line app anyway. Okay, but if you are going to get some kind of contract, you can get one with unlimited calls, unlimited data for anything from around 1000 NT to 1200, 1300 NT, depending on your needs, depending on your data usage, and if you want unlimited calls. But as you will see, the same with across Asia, and pretty much the same as the UK, although I would call people more in the UK. Here, you're just calling people via apps. You're not so much calling mobile numbers, which is pretty much the same with everyone around the world these days. Okay, so you can get your SIM card. You can even order your SIM cards online before you get to the airport. But there are booths, there are small counters when you get outside into basically the terminal areas, and you can go and get your SIM card. Look, and it's not a scam. They're not trying to take extra money from you, and there isn't too much discrepancy or difference in the prices. So going on to the apps now, there are a few apps which may be useful if you don't have them already. I would certainly say to download them and have them ready for when you get to Taipei, and even have a look through them before you get to the country as well. The Line app, Line. Line is like the WhatsApp. It's basically a chat app, what everybody uses here to keep in touch, to talk about business, to create chat groups. You can make calls, you can do video calls. Okay. The Line app, I will put the link in the description of this section as well. And then there's the Taipei MRT app. And look, there will be different apps for rail and bus schedules, okay? But like I showed you in the previous video, you can just Google that and it comes up with all of the bus schedule and the train schedule. But the Taipei MRT app is very useful indeed. Some people get the U-Bike app. However, I don't do that, but you can have a U-Bike app as well. So you can control all of your EasyCard and U-Bike usage in the app as well. And then Google Translate, so some kind of translation tool, is very good. Look, they're not going to be 100% accurate, but it'll get by. I use Google Translate if needed for some words or any words which I do not know. And again, you can just search on your app store for different online or app Chinese or Mandarin learning apps if you wish. Okay, but they're the main things you're looking at. Now, in terms of medical insurance, health insurance, I will go through that in a separate section later on. And the next thing, if you haven't already bought from your home country, is your charger, or basically plug for all of your electrical connections. So here in Taiwan, we have sockets. We use socket A and socket B. Now, plugs or chargers, if you haven't already got an adapter, you can get them at 7-Eleven, you can get them at the airport. Don't worry too much about that, but it's always nice to be prepared before you get here, okay? And you can get them at most electrical outlets. 7-Elevens, Family Marts, so accessible anywhere you go in Taiwan, so don't worry about that too much, okay? But you are going to need one which has a good connection, isn't going to break or snap after 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're just going to have to buy a new one, okay? And they're pretty much affordable. You can pick a cheaper one up for around 300 NT, or you can buy a sturdier one for around 800 NT as well, okay? So you are going to need something which is going to fit into the plug sockets as well. And food and drink, again, Family Mart, 7-Elevens, all available. You may get there and it may be a bit of a shock. I just walked up and down the same street for hours, just buying sandwiches from 7-Eleven before turning left or right, or being brave enough to venture out when I first arrived on my first day, okay? So make sure you know your accommodation, you know where you're going to stay, you know your local area, just in case. But people are so helpful. You might need to know where your local police station is. You might need to know where your embassy is, okay? Now, UK, for example, we don't have an embassy here. Our consulate is in Hong Kong if we need to go for any kind of official dealings. So these kind of things just have in mind, okay? Where's your nearest police station if needed? What is the number, emergency numbers, okay? Where is your embassy? What are your embassy numbers? Get all of these into your phone book, or have a record of them just in case, okay? Where are you going to keep your passport? Will it be safe? You don't really need to carry around ID like in some countries, but it's up to you if you do or not. When you get your ARC, resident visa, your card, you can carry that around easily in a wallet with you. You may want to carry around your passport or a copy of visa, or at least just have an image on your phone. So if anybody does ask to check, you can just show them on the phone, which is also normally good enough for anyone wanting to check. Taiwan's healthcare system is voted as the best in the world by some surveys, but I can attest to that. Yes, you may be looking at places like Japan or Singapore, but Taiwan is certainly up there with the best. What I will say, what is very, very important, you can only apply and get national health insurance in Taiwan if you have your ARC, your alien resident visa. So you do have to be a resident before you can make use and take advantage of the health system. So that means previously through the modules I said if you're coming over here and going to be on a visit visa, leaving the country and coming back, you will need to have your own private health insurance. You can get that at a cheap cost quite easily. It's just like travel insurance, which you can get. But as soon as you get your student visa, a work permit where it comes through your work, or your ARC, your residency, you can then pay for the national health insurance. Now, if you do it as an individual, it will cost around 850 NT. 850 NT, which is a little over £20 a month. Now, that may seem expensive to some people, considering in the UK they have the NHS, which is free, and you can just turn up to the hospital and doctor, and you still have to pay for your prescriptions. However, these days, especially in the UK, you have to go on to a waiting list. So you need an operation, you could be waiting for anything up to 4, 5, 6 months. I've heard of people waiting up to 1.5 years just for their annual checkup, which doesn't make sense. But with Taiwan, you pay this premium of 800 NT. And then that means that you will get your national insurance card, which is very valuable because you can also get different discounts for different government funding. For example, during COVID and after COVID, they gave you free vouchers, but you needed your national insurance card. Now you can use this card and go to any hospital, clinic, dentist, eye clinic, ear clinic, and if they have the national insurance sign on the outside, or if they do offer services through the national insurance system, you can basically get all the services for very cheap. Here are some quick examples, okay? If I go for a checkup, so yes, I pay my 800 a month premium. If I then go for a checkup at the dentist, I will go to the dentist, they will do fillings, and you pay 200 NT, or sometimes even less, 180 NT. So it's around £5. Now in the UK, you're paying premiums of up to £30-40 a month just for something which you may not use. Or if you need a fill-in, for example, you may be paying £70 just for a one-time fee. Also, you can then go, I went to the ear doctor. I went to the ear doctor because I had trouble hearing one ear and it was full of wax. So he cleaned all my ears. It took about 5 minutes and it cost 180 NT, less than £5. So this is just an example of how useful it is and how flexible it is. Another example is I went for a checkup. However, I wanted to go in very quickly because I just had some medication and I was feeling sick and I felt my heart beating a little bit out of normal. I'm a little bit paranoid now after all the COVID vaccinations, and also I'm getting into my mid-40s. So I went to the emergency room around midnight and I could use my card, and I went in, I had a health scan, I had a full body scan, they checked my lungs, they checked my blood, and that cost me just under 1,000 NT. It cost around 800 NT, which is £20 as a premium. Now that's only because I went to the emergency centre and they did all the checks. And without that, without my national insurance card, it would have cost me £75, 3,000 NT. So you can see how valuable it is. If you come here and you don't pay the 800 NT a month premium, or you don't have your own health insurance, it can be costly, like every country. You don't want to take that risk. Now, if I go for a checkup, heart checkup, lung checkup, and blood checkup, and x-rays to the hospital, and it's not the emergency room, it will cost anything from 600 NT, around £15 if it's a full checkup. And if you could go for a bigger one, which can cost 1,500 NT. I've had private operations. I had a double hernia operation, which cost 40,000 NT, which is around £1,000. Now, this was a few years ago now, but that was private. If you try and go to a private hospital through the private system in your own country, you cannot do that for £1,000 or 40,000 NT. And that was using my national insurance card. So really, look, the premium is £20 a month, 800 NT a month, but it's worth it and it's cheap considering other countries, in comparison with other countries, and for what you get. Now, if you get a job and your employer wants to pay for it, it will be slightly cheaper, but not too much difference, and you still are paying for it out of your salary. But the government does cover. It should cost you around 1,200 NT, but the government covers the majority of it. So you just pay the premium, like I said. Privately, you can pay it on your own as an individual or with your work, and it will come to 850 NT. With a family and dependents, you do it as a family package, it may work out slightly cheaper. And again, it depends. If you get a higher state job with a proper expat package, you may not have to pay it. It may be included in your package. But if you're working for a normal English cram school, private school, for example, okay, you may have to still pay the premium through your salary.